a fine saying of one faith master to another about this birth of the word in silence. He said, I am aware of something in me which shines in my understanding. I can clearly perceive that this is something, but what it may be, I cannot grasp. Yet I think if I could only seize it, I should know all truth. St. Augustine spoke in the same sense. I am aware of something within me that gleams and flashes before my soul. If this were perfected and fully established in me, that would surely be eternal life. It hides, it shows itself. It comes, but like a thief with intent to take and steal all things from the soul. But by emerging and showing itself a little, it aims to lure the soul and draw her towards itself, to rob her and deprive her of herself. About this the prophet says, Lord, take from them their spirit and give them instead thy spirit. This too was meant by the loving soul when she said, my soul dissolved and melted away when love spoke his word. When he entered, I had to fall away. And Christ meant this by his words, whoever abandons anything for my sake shall be repaid 100-fold. And here's the poem. When I was the forest, Meister Eckhart. When I was the stream, when I was the forest, when I was still the field, when I was every hoof, foot, fin, and wing, when I was the sky itself, no one ever asked me, did I have a purpose? No one ever wondered, was there anything I might need? For there was nothing I could not love. It was when I left all that we once were that the agony began. The fear and questions came, and I wept. The tears I had never known before. So I returned to the river. I returned to the mountains. I asked for their hand in marriage again. I begged to wed every object and creature. And when they accepted, God was ever present in my arms. And God did not say, where have you been? For then I knew my soul, every soul, has always held God. You know, like the...
But because I'm a plumber by trade,
And actually, you know, there's that big ball of sun that's got all the energy in the world, and all we need is a little slice of it.
When I was invited to do a reading or readings regarding survival and perseverance and to keep going with hope for the future, I was drawn back to Seattle-based author Jennifer James and her books, Success is the Quality of Your Journey, and this book, Windows, which were extremely helpful to me during one of the most challenging times of my life in the mid-1980s. The first selection is called Persistence. Improving our lives or environment always seems to cost more than we imagine. Making dreams come true requires hard work, risk, lots of doubt, and times when we want to quit. Remodeling a personality in some ways compares to working on a house. You never really finish. There are surprises behind the walls and a feeling of disorientation when things are out of order, when patterns change. It's also easy for the neighbors to see what a mess you're in. Sometimes all you're left with is your persistence. If you believe in yourself and want something enough, you keep working. On those cold, foggy mornings when you begin to question yourself or your latest project, remember while you're doing what you're doing. Remind yourself of your dreams. Warm up your thoughts and put one foot in front of the other. The other selection is called Patches. And the thing I like about Jennifer James' books are she'll often have quotes from other writers. The first part is from another person. The most beautiful people I have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These people have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. That's from historian Roy Nichols. And Jennifer says, pain is a great teacher, but most of us would rather learn some other way. We think that happiness comes from a perfect childhood and avoiding mistakes. We don't like that patched up feeling that comes with each survival. We would like to be seamless, no patches, no scars. Cherish your hard-won depth and understanding. Some pain is required for the journey. The gifts you seek are often disguised as problems. Patches bring strength, whether on our knees or in our hearts. Wednesday night, December 1st, was World AIDS Day, and it was the night of our Mariposa program here at Althea, and I had asked Judith Whitten to prepare a blessing and ask her to read this again today, but she is not able to be here this morning, so I'm reading this on behalf of Judith Whitten, who's a longtime contributor to this community. So as you're comfortable, if you'd like, please close your eyes as I read this prayer of hope. It's a blessing adapted from the Metropolitan Community Churches for Althea on World AIDS Day by Judith Whitten. To the divine source of hope in all that is, we are all affected by HIV/AIDS. As we prepare for the coming of the sacred season, at this time of Advent, we give thanks for growing understanding, for medical advances, for changing attitudes and behavior, for greater awareness and concern in our community. God of all things, both visible and invisible, bring us together with strong ties of love, that this community may be a place where we can find acceptance, that it may be a place of welcome for all affected by HIV/AIDS, that it may be a place where care is given and received, especially children and youth, where stories are told and heard, where fear is overcome by love, where unconditional compassion is found in abundance. And so it is. Amen.
Well, good morning. I'm gonna actually put on my mic. How about that? Can you hear me? Better now. I'm gonna have a conversation with Daryl. And there's a lot of reasons why, and I wanted to kind of give you a little background before we dive right into our conversation. First of all, welcome. You made it here. I don't know if you know, we had an eclipse last night, the new moon in Sagittarius, and I don't know if anyone else had trouble sleeping. It's a miracle we got here, right? So for those of you watching online, good on you. Smart move. Thank you all for being here. I was told this morning getting ready that this is like my first official Sunday, but I feel like I've had so many of these like first official Sundays that I hope you'll welcome me again the millionth time. Mainly, I wanted to give a little bit of background about why we chose this topic. Oh, I realize I'm still wearing my mask. No one told me. That might help, right? Oh my gosh. Thanks, though. I'm being super COVID conscious. I appreciate that. Thanks. So World AIDS Day was something that I did not grow up knowing about. I knew about AIDS. I grew up in Littleton, Colorado, and just heard about the AIDS crisis a little bit, but it was something that impacted Africa, right? That's all I knew, really. And it wasn't until I went to seminary in New York City and learned about God side by side with Black queer ministers who rocked my world in a variety of ways, that I realized how important this holiday really is and how resilient this day is, and how it's a holiday, I think, in our culture that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people are just like, oh yeah, it's just a regular kind of time, and there's a lot going on in December. It is a really important moment that we pause and reflect and honor. So I wanted to do that today. For me, survival in general often means living with what is suffering and what is oppressing us, not really like the transformation process, which we're doing all the time, and especially collectively. But when you can't really shift some of those dynamics, how do we survive with something, not away from something? So I invited Daryl to chat with me because there's so much wisdom in this community. That was a huge reason what brought me to Althea, that I knew that I wouldn't be just leading on my own. But also he has a personal story, and I think there's an interesting component to a real life testimony that I don't think that you should hear about some things from me. I think you should hear about it from the people that are actually experiencing it in real time. And I didn't want to speak for anyone else. I want to give this platform to people who can speak from their level of expertise and lived experience. So today we're talking and we're having an awesome conversation. Hopefully, Spirit has blessed it. It is so. But if you are also sitting out there saying, oh, you know what, this other day later on in the year means something to me and my family, or this part of my identity needs to be shared with this community, I would really appreciate it if you'd come to me and tell me and let me know. I don't know what matters to you, and I don't know how to celebrate everything all the time if you don't let me know that it is of value to you. So that being said, before we dive into a deeper conversation, I wanted to explain what AIDS is in a very brief way, because I don't want to assume that everyone knows. And I tell you this because I was a chaplain at a couple different hospitals, but one was in Richmond, Virginia, which I know is the South, but take it with a grain of salt. And I had a patient, probably 65-year-old man who was very devout, went to church all the time, and had HIV, and really didn't understand. For years he had been diagnosed, and no one had really told him what he could and couldn't do. And I remember having a conversation with him about the details of AIDS, and it freed him in many ways. So I want to tell you what it is and what it isn't. What is cool, interestingly, is that especially for the kiddos present, you will understand AIDS in a way that no one else really has in any other generation, because we're already living in a current pandemic. So AIDS is also a pandemic, so we've got a couple pandemics happening at the same time. And I think that's an interesting juxtaposition, and it's important to mention that. So it's just contracted through bodily fluids. Or actually, no, through more like sexual fluids, not really all bodily fluids. You cannot get it from kissing. It's actually much harder to catch than COVID, as we all know, which is why you all showed a vax card and everything getting in here. But it can be passed through blood and other things like that too. If you have questions on the specifics, I wanted to make this super family friendly, so I'm not going to get into all the details. But if you have questions specifically, sexual health and physical health is incredibly important to me, and it's incredibly important to this community that we educate ourselves. And it's a very spiritual topic to talk about health in all the ways. So if you have questions, follow up with me, and we can chat further. Mainly wanted to say that with this VCU patient, I talked to him and he realized, oh, I can have a relationship. He had literally been holding himself back from love for years, for over a decade of his life, thinking that if he was near someone that he would infect them. And I, the chaplain, not the doctor, not the nurse, after a decade said, oh no, please, like, love is the most revolutionary thing and you can share it in a very healthy way. And I saw him 3 weeks later and he already had a date. Some lovely woman from church who drove him to the hospital for his like follow-up appointment. So that is the power of love and the power of information. So I just wanted to get that across. Now I would love to chat with Daryl because he has so much wisdom and lived experience that I think is incredibly inspirational, but also rooted in this awareness of suffering at a level that maybe other people don't understand. And he's walked this path, and I think that we should listen to people who have something to teach us. So we're going to try to finagle the chairs in a way. Let us know if you can't see one of us. Everyone good? Mostly over there? Okay. So thank you.
Thank you.
First of all. It's incredibly brave just to talk about this topic still after so many years. For folks who don't know, the AIDS pandemic launched in the 80s, early 80s. But when...
I seroconverted in 1983, in the spring of 1983. So that's when I became HIV positive and started having the opportunistic infections is what they called them that went along with it. I had thrush. I had a really bad case of shingles. I knew immediately my life had changed. So I sort of read the symptoms and just assumed that I would be the story that ended up being so many people's stories. So. But it was very early on, so not only did I not know what I had, nobody, it's evolved so much since then, so it's really hard to remember how it was that far back.
I think that we can't really relate to everything, but I can relate to the beginning of COVID when we were like, what is this? And we didn't know how scared we should be of something. But 1983 to now, that's a long time.
Yeah, I'm what they call a long-term survivor, so I'm a very fortunate man.
And what do you think is the main key to your survival?
Not ever really believing the death sentences that the doctors continually wanted to give me. Even though I would hear it and I would kind of absorb it, I never really believed it because I felt that that I deserved to stick around. I don't know. It was the same time that I became involved in the gay choral movement, and I absolutely believe that was key to me being able to survive this. Not that everyone who participated in that was a survivor, but it definitely showed me that I had the opportunity to still live, and the gay choral experience to a singer like me, I sing in every chorus that will take me, and I sang with the New York City Gay Men's Chorus starting in like 81 or 82, and the experience of doing that and sharing that kind of support and that kind of love in such a deep way with such an expanded community, yeah, I think that the gay choral movement is key to me personally surviving.
I really love that for two reasons. First, I don't know if everyone knows, I met Daryl like 15 years ago singing. If I had not joined the Mile High Choir, I would not have met Daryl. So we actually known each other about half my life, a little less, which is amazing that we're still singing. And I'm so glad that you're able to share your singing with us today because it is your spiritual practice, that it's not just a performance, right? We get to commune. He might be up here, but there's that connection. What other spiritual practices besides singing? I know that's like crucial, and it's singing in community, right?
Yeah, it's part of what is shared. Maybe it touched me more deeply because of what happened a week ago. Stephen Sondheim passed away, and Stephen Sondheim's music has been really important to me since high school, and the gay choral movement, it really embraces Stephen Sondheim and his music, and I've had the opportunity to perform his music with gay choruses so many times, and and absorb the message that actually is contained in those lyrics, because Stephen Sondheim is a brilliant, brilliant man. And, you know, I didn't realize until he was passed, until he was gone, and sharing all the memories from all my chorus friends in New York and stuff, this is a shared experience. It's not just mine uniquely. And I really think that is the key, is to be willing to experience the shared experiences that we all have, is what gave me permission to not just survive, but to thrive.
What was your relationship with God like? How has it transformed from 1983 to, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have changed, but especially as an AIDS survivor.
Well, at the time I was diagnosed, I was actually working at a Catholic church as a soloist. So church in most of my adult life has been where I go to work. So I've sung in lots of different places. I sang for 13 years in the High Holy Days choir at Temple Emmanuel. So, I always understood that spirituality was something that I absolutely felt. But even when I was presented with different forms of expression, the Catholic version, the Jewish version and stuff, I'll be honest, I really went for the music. It wasn't until I became the section leader of the Mile High Choir and I finally attended a place where my spirituality was aligned with what it was that I was being asked to present. And that's when I took classes at Mile High and stuff. It was the first time that I really, because it was how I had actually felt my entire life, is that God is in everyone and in everything. And this was a manifestation of that philosophy. So I got a really, that's when I think I probably connected spiritually. So it was fairly late in my adult life.
That you had that back at you, like reflected.
Yeah, my gay choral experience is my spirituality as well. So I've been expressing it in a lot of ways, but as far as like an organized church way, the first time it ever really felt aligned was when I went to Mile High.
We talked beforehand about a lot of the stigma that people get, even now with COVID. People you're like, oh, you got it. There's a thing, right? When someone is infected with something, people's response is often fear-based and separate. How did you handle that? Or did it impact you?
Well, of course it impacted me. I guess I handled it by absorbing it and trying to still go forward. I don't know. Being able to express myself, being given opportunities to express myself in a loving, accepting way. I performed on the stage in this building in 1997 or 1998. It was the first time I performed on this stage, and it was actually with my good friend Kirk Maple, who's in the audience today. And we did a duet from Into the Woods. It's called Agony. It's a Stephen Sondheim musical. And so, and when I was here performing on this stage, I felt something different, not just about it. It stayed with me. I don't know. Maybe I just I felt so connected here. And it wasn't just because I was performing on the stage. It was different. So maybe it's something that I was always sort of aware of in the back of my mind and just had not really given myself permission to express.
I think community is crucial, right, in healing. A lot of people think you're all on your own. But you also talked about living in New York in the 80s and then coming out here when you were in 1995, and that opened up your community in a different way, too.
Yeah.
And you're able to...
Well, by the time I got here in 95, my friends in New York were, Daryl's going to go home. Daryl's going home to die, because that was really the scenario for so many people. But I knew in my heart that I was going home to live. Because I think that by that point I had already sort of given myself permission to experience my own life again, fully. It was after, it still took a while. It took a long time before I convinced myself that I deserved a partner, a relationship. It wasn't until 2000 when I had the unbelievably good luck to meet Jason Hernandez. And I don't know, Jason recorded a documentary about Stephen Sondheim the other day and shared it with me in one of my rare nights off that I didn't have to go up to Boulder to rehearse. And it made me remember something really far back when I was a teenager. And it was feeling like I deserved to have a relationship. And I think that was probably what was robbed from me for so long, and probably is the thing I'm most grateful for now. Because when I was a teenager in high school, there was a show called Company, and it had a song called Being Alive. And I used that song kind of as a wish list for my own life. It's kind of how, I love to sing it just because it's a beautiful song, but when I really thought about what the words were. And it's something that I never really thought could happen until it dawned on me while I was watching this documentary with Jason that he was the actual embodiment of my most deepest desire. So let me just read you some of the lyrics from in Stephen Sondheim's words. Someone to hold you too close, someone to hurt you too deep, someone to sit in your chair and ruin your sleep and make you aware of being alive. Someone you have to let in, someone whose feelings you spare, someone who, like it or not, will want you to share a little, a lot of being alive. Someone to crowd you with love, someone to force you to care, someone to make you come through, who'll always be there, as frightened as you, of being alive. So, my life has not only turned out to be survival, it's actually the fulfillment of my most wildest dreams. So.
Thank you. Well, that was really, I was going to ask you more, but I think that just, I feel like that's the way to end that. You want to share anything else?
It's a continuing story. It's Althea is part of that. It's Tim Wilson, who's the reason I came through the doors in the first place. It's Dr. Jonathan, who got me to stick around. It's the honor of serving on the board of directors. It's the trust that you have instilled in me by letting me be the caretaker of this beautiful structure, and by your sincere appreciation of all the gifts that I want to give. It's by people like Rick Stanton, who's not just an accompanist. Rick is my best friend, my treasured mentor, my superhero. He's someone who gives me permission to be who I really am. So, life comes at you in all sorts of ways. Just being able to receive it is probably the biggest gift of all.
Thank you. And Daryl's going to sing in a little bit too, of course, again, a song called Thankful. But thank you, Daryl, really, really. That was wonderful. And that was real. I hope you felt that. This is what this community has brought to Daryl, and this is also, I'm so glad that you shared all of the ways that you give back, Daryl, because I could not do this job without Daryl. There's so much that he does around in the building and just with his essence and his communication here, but also the wider community that he impacts and brings in and out and weaves through it. And each of you have that ability as well. I just wanted to talk for a few minutes because I did want to kind of sermonize what he was saying, basically. I find it amazing, the going home to die idea, and then saying, no, I'm going home to live. This is my new community. This is my new launching ground. This is what matters to me here. And it's life and it's not death. And a lot of amazing people died and continue to do so in the AIDS pandemic. But it's really important that we hear about the survival. It's really important that we hear just about humanity in it. It becomes statistics, just like we know that COVID can be. It is so infuriating sometimes when they're just like, oh, another 100,000 and another 100,000 and people are dying here and infected here. These are lives. These are real human lives, and every single one of them mattered. I think also it's important to mention that The AIDS pandemic, as horrible as it has been, has also been intrinsic to the gay rights movement and to our acceptance in our society of queer folks in all aspects. And especially here at Althea, I'm glad that we can talk about all the layers and levels of not only like the sadness and the suffering with AIDS and HIV, but also the beauty and the positivity and the fact that, to me, and I was talking to Rick Stanton actually about this earlier, that the beauty of being queer, of being fully yourself, was like the most resilient thing to do in the face of absolute, almost certain death for so many folks. That's profound. That's a lesson that it doesn't matter what your gender or sexual identity is, it doesn't matter. That we can utilize that here every single day of our lives. And I love that Daryl's a walking manifestation of that. I wanted you to see that it's not like, oh, I don't know someone who's this impacted. Yes, you do. We all do. And we talked last week about how our liberation is bound up in each other. And that includes with folks that are infected with something. It doesn't stop them. It doesn't hinder them. The more we know, the more we can actually share consciously and healthily together. And the manifestation, the true meaning, wasn't all the success, right? And all this, and not even being, did you hear Daryl say anything about like, oh, I wish I was HIV negative? No, it wasn't the absence of that thing. It was actually the addition of love. That's the thing. It wasn't the absence of the suffering. It was the meaning making through it. If you've ever heard of this man named Viktor Frankl, he has a book called A Man's Search for Meaning. And he is a concentration camp survivor. And he became a therapist, psychotherapist, very big in psychology, basically, because his whole premise was making meaning out of absolute certainty of death, of hell, waking up every single day, not knowing if it would be his last. And so he speaks to this in a really profound way, and I really resonated with what Daryl was saying, and this man who just woke up every day in a situation that none of us can even imagine. I think we try, but I can't really fathom going through what he went through. And the fact that he did that with love and with tenderness and exited a concentration camp and found meaning and found not only meaning in his own life, right, but then he changed all these other people's lives on top of that. And he shared that. And I think that that's what Daryl does in this community. But we are the ripples, in many ways, of the legacy that he has started. And it's amazing that his legacy is continuing, his physical and spiritual health. So I wanted you to see the physical testimony and hear his words straight from him. I do want to mention really quick, it is Hanukkah still. The last day is tomorrow. We have a menorah back there. It's impossible for me to mention Viktor Frankl without saying that. So my family celebrates pieces of Hanukkah. We call it Christmas in different ways. So I pray that if that calls to you, that you are celebrating in your own way of lighting your own menorah at this time. Preparation for death, I've seen time and time again as a chaplain, and it's a really beautiful process. And it's especially wonderful when God says, no, not yet. When you think you're going to certain death, when you just don't have like that, you wake up and you're like, yes, I'm going to live to see tomorrow. And seeing cancer survivors over and over again, and seeing people, I mean, even intimate partner violence survivors who don't know what's going to happen from day to day. When we deal with this ongoing suffering, including a pandemic, where we risk our lives to go to the grocery store and to work and to school, we forget how powerful each moment is and how powerful life can be in the face of this like onslaught. I think the most profound thing I hope you take away, I know that I am this week, is truly living with that suffering, is having a relationship with it instead of really distancing. I think so often in New Thought, it's very like, if you name it, then it's going to be a reality. And it's important to do both, right? It's to not dwell on it. It's important to not focus on manifesting, because absolutely that can happen. And it's important to name what's going on. I'm going to go deeper into this in the deep dive later at about 12:15. So I hope you join me, because we're going to learn ways to meaning make more through constant, relentless suffering. We're all suffering in some way, and it's really how to, I do a lot of transform and transmuting work, but it's also important just to simply acknowledge, right? There's so much power in that. And you saw Daryl manifest intense love, romantically and with all of you. That can only happen when we acknowledge the truth of what's going on and not look away from that either. So thank you all for staring love and God straight in the face and saying, I choose you, relentlessly, and manifesting with all of us. It really takes this whole community to do that. So thank you. That being said, we're going to go into our offering time, and Rick is going to play a little bit for us again. So if you feel so called, what has been offered to you, you can also offer back to Althea. It takes a lot of work and connection and honestly money, right, to just keep the lights on and keep this community moving and growing. So please open your hearts, open your wallets, and share with our Althea community, knowing that whatever you are giving, you are receiving tenfold. So you can hold whatever you want over your heart and really connect in. We have the dip jar in the back as well, so every dip is $10. Or you could donate online, whatever works. The last thing I did want to mention as Rick plays us into this is we told you a couple weeks ago we wanted outdoor heaters to make sure that we were COVID safe and having an awesome time outside, and we did raise enough money for that. So thank you all. You will enjoy them on Christmas Eve, hopefully. Yeah, thank you. We literally couldn't do it without you. All right, and then after this, Daryl will come back and grace us with a song, Thankful. So thank you all.
It was with great thanks that we received these gifts, not only the gifts of money, but also the gifts of time and work and labor that so many people in this congregation have done. So with that, thank you all. Thank you.
Some days we forget to look around us. Some days we can't see the joy that surrounds us. So caught up inside ourselves, we take when we should give. So for today we pray for what we know can be, and on this day we hope for what we still can't see. It's up to us to be the change. And even though we all could still do more, there's so much to be thankful for. Look beyond ourselves. There's so much sorrow. It's way too late to say I'll cry tomorrow. Each of us can find our truth. It's so long overdue. So for today, we pray for what we know can be, and every day we hope for what we still can't see. It's up to us to be the change. And even though we all could still do more, there's so much to be thankful for. Even with our differences, there is a place we're all connected. Each of us can find each other's light. So on this day, we pray for what we know can be, and every day we hope for what we still can't see. It's up to us to be the change. And even though this world needs so much more, there's so much to be thankful for. Thank you so much.
I was wondering what was next, and then I realized, oh yeah, it's me. Thank you, Daryl. Beautiful rendition. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And another beautiful service, a few announcements. They are on the back of your program here. I'll keep it short. We have our holiday marketplace next December on the 12th. And tables will be set up in the dining room of some of our members who have some holiday gift ideas or gift opportunities for you. And so please take advantage of that. Let's see. We are also looking for volunteers. Sarma is our coordinator back there, in addition to being Sergeant at Arms. And please see her if you have a hankering to be of service to the Althea community. We'd love to have you. And I think you get, I know just volunteering, we get so much more than we give back. Or we get so much more than we give. I know I do. So we have Ideals of Love Paradigm. This is a discussion with author Papio Jazz. Is Papio here? Okay. So if you have questions about that, please see him. He'll be somewhere around here in the back probably. And Suzanne Hunt is offering Healing Meditation 1 and 2, or 1 and 4 actually. And these are beginning, let's see, January 11th for 7 weeks is Meditation 1, and Meditation 4 is 7 weeks beginning January 15th. We also have this coming week a film festival, and where is, there it is. Would you like to stand up, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about the the film festival that's happening here. Thank you. And tell the audience your name. Great. Oh my gosh. That's great. Great. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you very much. Thank you for your generous offer to us Alpheans. Eduardo and I go way back to the late 90s. We worked together at a Ticketmaster phone center. Don't hold it against us, okay? I'm just saying. All right. I think those are any other announcements. We do have prayer partners are available for affirmative prayer. It's private. It's personal. Nancy Ruff is going, right, Nancy? Where's Nancy? There she is. So look for her. She'll be back in the library near the meditation room. And if you have a concern, if you're new to this community or you've been coming for decades, affirmative prayer is a way to deal with anything you want to manifest or problems that you have or joys you want to experience or even express. Thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to do our closing prayers. Join me one brief second. Let's just root in our bodies and remember the divinity that flows through us every single breath. And this space is holy. You are holy in it. We know that the divine flows through us, manifesting healthy and fulfilling love, manifesting the communities that we know support us and ground us in this belief, and affirming our whole being, our whole wellness, every which way, every identity we have, every path we walk. We know that Spirit guides each and every single step. We are never alone. We always know where to go and who to lean on. Knowing this truth, knowing this community roots in this awareness with ease and grace, I bless this space and say, and so it is. Amen. I'm going to bring Gerald back for the community song, and I will meet you actually out in the portico for the receiving line. Thank you all.
I'd love to ask you to all stand as you're able and join me in I Will Survive. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. And I spent so many nights just feeling sorry for myself, but I grew strong. And I learned how to get along, and so you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key. If I'd have known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Go out now, go. Walk out the door. Don't turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with goodbye? Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live, and I've got all my love to give, and I'll survive. I will survive. Hey, hey. It took all the strength I had not to fall apart. Kept trying hard to mend the pieces of my broken heart. But I spent time sorry for myself. I used to cry. But now I hold my head up high and you see me, somebody new. I'm not that chained up little person still in love with you. And now I'm nothing in and just expect me to be free. Well, now I'm saving all my loving for someone who's loving me. Go out now, go. Walk out the door. Don't turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with goodbye? Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live, and I've got all my love to give, and I'll survive. I will survive. I will survive. Thank you. Thank you so much.